welcome to the second hour of the bonus stage. And of course, being a Thursday, it is time for a bonus stage plus, and I have some guests for tonight. Good evening, ladies.
Hi.
Hello.
All right, so let's start off with my guest to the left, my not cousin. Long story behind that, but anyway, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Mia, and what's that? Well, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. This is myself for that matter. Okay, I'm a teacher by day, and what little spare time I have aside from teaching and graduate studies, I help with girlsgotgame.org, and I try to play video games. Operative word is try.
And that's what I need you here for. All
okay,
right.
yes.
And to my right.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm also a teacher by day, but 100% fangirl. I play a lot of video games, I guess, and I suppose I'm a professional fangirl.
Sweet. All right, so tonight, like I promised earlier, we're going to be talking about the Persona series. And a little-known fact, and because it's become so big, is that it's a sub-series of the Shin Megami Tensei series. Pam, would you like to introduce us on that?
Because Shin Megami Tensei has a particular theme. It's always about dealing with reality, philosophical questions, and it tends to get pretty deep in that, in the sense that, especially with the first two games, you were dealing with demons, and you're also dealing with who you are as a person, encountering other relationships, and you're basically trying to save the world while being who you are and dealing with human stuff, human problems.
So it's basically a surprisingly introspective JRPG series.
Extremely, yeah. It has amazing psychological underpinnings. Sorry, I sound like such a fangirl, but it's really big on Jungian theory, and I think a lot of philosophy comes out. Each game has a particular theme behind it. So, yeah.
And I got introduced to the series via Persona 2, and, I was a silly teenager back then, so everything kind of just flew over my head. Maybe now as an adult, or as a quote-unquote adult, I'll have a better understanding of it.
Yeah,
so,
I feel you there, because I also, I got introduced to Persona 2 myself. It's just my consoles kept dying on me, and
yeah, because it was released during the near the end of the PlayStation 1's life cycle. The PS2 was on its way in.
Yeah.
It was sometime around 2000, and we only got one half of the actual Persona 2.
Yeah, we did. That's true.
Not until a couple of years later where they re-released.
Okay, now I remember my copy kept dying, and then I couldn't buy a good one. That's why I couldn't play Persona 2 effectively.
All right, there we go. Mia, how did you get introduced to the Persona series?
Interestingly, through Persona 2, but at face value, oh my god, this is going to show my age. There was a time when blogging was picking up, and I had lived in a different country, in Indonesia, for a few years, so this was like early 2000s, so that's early stage blogging. No WordPress yet, man.
LiveJournal?
LiveJournal, yes. And there was a group of girls who I read for their fan fiction. So for those who are not so sure what that is, though at least now I hear it's mainstream, it's unofficial stories about series that include anywhere from anime, manga, video games, and even TV series. So I was following my favorite fan fiction writer's blog, and she was super duper into Persona 2. So I saw it. It looks really cool. But mind you, at the time I was in high school then, so I was so intrigued by it because I was playing Final Fantasy, the usual stuff, but I have never heard of it. My friends weren't playing it, and it looks so cool. It looks
stylish.
Sophisticated. Yeah, it was really stylish. And what for me, remember at the time that was around FF9 era, it just looked awesome. But I wouldn't get to play any Persona series until 3. I don't know how many years later. It's 5 or 6 years later, roughly, if I believe.
So the history of Persona 1 and 2 is a bit rough because we got Western releases of that, but the localization on those were pretty horrible and wouldn't be fixed until way later in the PSP era.
I remember hearing stuff about there was even a fan attempt to localize it.
Yeah, I think I saw
yes,
something like that. Yeah.
It was really It was like really sketchy. I know that I was even given the PS1 version, PS2 of Persona 2, and I was told don't expect much from that game. Something like that. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
But the good thing is you can finally play Persona 1 and 2 as intended, basically, on PSP and PS Vita, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So they're available online on the PlayStation Store for, I guess, they're pretty dirt cheap by now.
Yeah, and am I allowed to give honest game reviews here?
All right.
As someone who
What's your hot take?
Okay, I've attempted, keyword is attempted, to play the remade Persona on the PSP before. And it took a lot of patience. It felt a little slow. It felt very blocky. And it's like, I want this to happen now. And it's not as smooth as... Remember, I had come off P3 at the time. So
You're going to get to that.
Yes. So there's that. Just as a word of warning, I highly recommend. I still would play, because I love the series so much. I would still play the first 2 Persona games. But it's not as fast as it used to be. So be very patient, especially for those who are more used to, let's say, PlayStation 2 upwards.
Yeah, can I cut in for a second?
All right, we got a minute.
Yeah. Okay.
For the other side of the review as well, it is a very different animal on a thematic level. So if you're looking for something like P3, 4, or 5, you're probably not going to get it.
Exactly.
So there's that.
Sweet. All right, so there you have it. Personas 1 and 2, really strange creatures in their own right. But yes, you can actually find them and play them for cheap. So if you're looking to get into the series, like all the way from the beginning, you might as well. All right, back to more music. Let's give you something from Lady Gaga. Brand new music. This is a playlist breakout. It's time to go back into Bonus Stage Plus, because of course we are talking about the Persona series, and this is probably one of the bigger ones because it is what pulled our 2 guests in right into the series. Of course, if Personas 1 and 2 were basically like dipping your toes into it, 3 you just dive into it. So yep, we are talking about Persona 3. So what is Persona 3 about?
Persona 3 starts with the main character finally going to his new school because he was just transferred in, and then he finds out that there is an hour between 11:59 p.m. and midnight, and really, really weird things happen in it. I don't want to spoil anybody, but it is a story about life and death, but also trying to be a high school student, making friends among many different people, and having to deal with saving the world. So I guess that's the best summary I can give you.
If you think high school was hard, try going there.
Japanese high school.
Exactly. The superhero level of high school. There's high school and there's superhero high school.
But not even high school with like social links.
Yes.
That's pretty terrible.
Yes.
All right, social links. Was this the first game in the series to use social links?
I believe so, yeah.
All right, so what are they all about?
It's basically a dating sim. That's how I actually sell Persona to my friends. You have to, through the power of friendship, literally, friendship or romance, you end up getting power to fight bad guys and monsters.
Yeah, so like you have to, you also have to do well in school. So you have to level up your character, much like life. You have to find time to study. Remember Japan, so you have a part-time job. And you also have to make friends during the day, and at night you fight. Yeah. And when you do well during the day, it affects how you are at night. Yes.
Yep.
So your combat performance is basically affected by how well you do in the real world.
Yep.
Your overachievement is rewarded.
Yes.
Nice. Nice. And, all right, let's talk about the characters. Some of the characters, at least your favorite ones from this game.
I think Mia and I can both agree that we love Mitsuru. She's one of the best video game girls ever. I mean, you do you guys. Everybody can have their preferences, but Mitsuru, though, she's amazing.
Yes, Mitsuru is best. Mind you, with Persona 3, we make it sound like, yeah, it's another anime, but remember that since it is about coming to terms with, let's say, your dark side. And that's also a big part of all the Persona series, for that matter. When we say, it's so hard to choose one. But Mitsuru, I don't want to give spoilers, but I think this one is really, there's a lot to her. When you see her in, I think if it's any other series, she would usually be the, oh yeah, rich girl, whatever. Rich girl can do anything and everything and hates herself because she can do everything. This one is, for one, she's actually human. These are real problems.
Yeah.
She really has a chip on her shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So this isn't just applicable to, I guess, Persona 3, but for the series onward at this point.
Yes.
And I guess one of the major strengths of Persona is that they make really relatable characters.
Yeah, they do. Actually, one thing that I forgot to mention was the entire reason why the game is called Persona. It is the mask that we put in front of ourselves in order to face the world. But then you make that mask literal superpowers, and that power is generated by relationships. So that's what makes the game really amazing. You have so many characters who are real people with real problems.
Yeah, there's the concept of the mask is seen in Persona 5, which we'll get to later. But in Persona 3, it was the idea of it's very graphic. You shoot yourself, you die,
and
your real
live.
self
Yeah.
has to come out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty controversial back then.
Not surprisingly little. I remember reading, I forgot which video game website or magazine that said they were surprised that there was no picketing on the streets over that. There was commentary, but no big like, this should be banned or whatever.
Just
It's
think
not.
pieces, I guess.
Just think pieces, but not on a critical scale that I've seen in this day and age with the internet.
And I think, I was around for that. I've been reading up on Persona 3's release, and a lot of people were just like, whoa, that happened.
Yeah, it did. Nobody expected it. I think maybe it helped that it wasn't overly graphic. Even the cutscenes.
It's stylish.
Even the cutscenes were very stylized, and you
Yeah.
understood. It's a very sophisticated game. It was able to get across that this is a metaphorical death.
And
Yeah.
And all right, it doesn't insult the player's intelligence. Like, they know how smart their audience is.
Yeah, you really have to rise
How
up
they
to it.
represent it.
Because those are the team of Persona is in Persona 3 they're recruited precisely because they've all had a rocky past. That's only the first layer. Later on it gets rougher than that. But the thing is, if you're looking for the doki doki, meaning smiles, and your typical anime trope where it's you kind of know like someone's lost a parent here or whatever, it's not just that. And so it's really demanding. In a way, I would say that it's demanding its player to be more empathic. I'll
Yes.
say. It has to. It's really, to get into meat of it, you have to be.
It brings you to some basic questions about why you do what you do.
Yes.
You live, how
Yes.
you live, and each one of the characters, like with the tarot, right? Each station represents a portion of your life and where you are as a human being.
Because even their good girl types, and personally, I'm not a big fan of the really goody two shoes girl.
Same here.
She has a really, as in legit tragic backstory. None of that high school insecurity you'd expect from a game that looks like that. It's not. It's really, you play it. That's all I can say. Just play it and make those social links, and you will. It just blew me away.
It's available on PlayStation Vita and PSP. Well, the portable version, which is a little watered down because a lot of the navigation has been reduced to menus, but if this is your only way of legally playing Persona 3, by all means, do it.
Please do it.
And
It's great.
one more thing, right? For Persona 3 Portable, you also get to play as a girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big bonus. Honestly.
It's cute. It has a cute thing, but honestly, the story is what it is. No big moves were there. Personally, I recommend playing as a guy first and then play as a girl so
Yes.
you can get the extra story. That's all I'm gonna say. You have the power of the internet.
So there you
Yes.
there you have it. We'll be talking about Persona 4 in just a bit, but first...
We are living our lives. Although with so much information.
Bonus stage plus because it is a Thursday. And before anything else, shout out to Pam's lit singers. Hello there.
Hi, guys.
All right, so thank you for tuning in, and we are about to talk about Persona 4. All right, Mia, Persona 4, what's it all about?
So it kept the idea of you still have to balance doing dungeon at night
Okay.
and making friends and keeping up with schoolwork and having a job during the day. But this one is now situated in a small town, not even a high school compared to P3.
Yeah.
In this small town, there are a series of mysterious deaths. And instead of the school, what they find out is there is a secret midnight channel. So it's based on urban legend. There's a midnight channel, and whoever you see on that channel will die soon. And that is where we meet our protagonists for
They're always
Persona
called the
4.
protagonist, by the way, because you can name them.
Yes, and of course, protagonists and friends, as the case may be.
All right.
Yes.
And, yes, going on.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I think what makes us different is it's the town this time. It's
Yeah.
essentially the town and the world, unlike it's the TV world. So if in Persona 3 it is high school and it's all about best face forward, in this case it's the there's the shadow, they call them shadows, is they end up having their own channel on TV, and it shows though they resent who people see them to be or want them to be, and they
there's a
want
lot
that
about
one
human
dead.
desires and
Yes.
identity. And as I was telling Billy and Mia earlier, it's Persona 4 is actually the happy flower child, ironically, between Persona 3 and Persona 5. Everything about the aesthetic kind of brings things to a smaller scale, but it also magnifies how you deal with the characters and how you deal with yourself once more. Because, yeah, I mean, all of those intrusive thoughts that we might have, or all of those questions versus how people look at you. And that's, I guess, where a lot of the shadow stuff comes in. Because if you don't like what people are making out of you, what do you do about it? You know?
Yeah. Oh, and this has multiple endings, by the way.
Yes.
You can
How
have
many?
I don't even know. How many, Pam? I don't even know. I remember, I'm still stuck in P4 where I think it's like 3
Yeah, it's
or
around,
4.
it's around 3 or 4.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's good ending and there's best ending, by the way.
Oh, yeah, there-
and there's also bad ending.
If you if you screw up early, then
Yeah.
because it is a murder mystery. So if you don't figure it out, then game
There you
over,
go.
pretty much.
Basically, you and your Scooby Gang have. There's a time limit, of course. One thing you forgot to mention is that the
yeah,
games
yeah.
work on a calendar system, right?
Yeah, 1 year. That's pretty much all you've got. 1 year to be the most amazing human being, fighting evil or solving crime, and being the perfect person.
In Persona 4, the time limit, because remember that these are deaths. These
Yes.
are different, like, it looks like there's a serial killer on the loose and you're trying to figure out who that person is. So you have your, there's a weather system. So you have to get in there before the next fog. Because it's a small town and it's plagued usually by, like, they're sunny, but fog is a common thing. And you notice when the fog comes in, that's when they discover the next body.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of being the best human being, all right, this still carries over the social elements like friendship, dating, maintaining a job, and you mentioned something about negative consequences if you attempt to date multiple people at the same time, just like in real life, of course.
Yes. So this one is, I think if before, in Persona 3, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, because honestly, I have not tried that path, where you do the harem track, which means that you can have more than one girlfriend. And I know that was a big thing, probably more than the shooting in Persona 3. In Persona 4, for a while, they allowed it, then later on, it has dire consequences. I know someone who's dated all the girls, or if not most of the girls, all the girls available at the particular time, and let's just say the game punished him for it later, and he felt horrible about it. As mentioned, empathy is a big part of this game, whether you like it or not.
And something that we did touch upon earlier off air is that empathy is in very short supply these days. So
Yeah.
it's nice that there's a game series that teaches us about this.
Yes.
And okay, since we're already there at that part, what are the consequences, or what is the actual sequence of when they find out that you've been basically trying to date everyone in the party?
Okay, those who don't want spoilers, go away now. I'll give you that minute. All right, now we're talking. Okay, what's gonna happen is, according to my boyfriend and we were already together when he did this. There's a scene there where he's maxed out all and he's all happy because, oh, I got my girls, and then one by one they find him. And they have different, like, I loved you, but I knew you were cheating on me, in more or less the same ways. So I really like one after the other. And mind you, some of these girls are your teammates.
Yes, you fight supernatural monsters with them
Yes.
every night.
Oh, and as an aside, even in the first one, because remember, this Persona 4, that was the original one for PS2, and Persona 4 Golden for the Vita. In Persona 4, they didn't address the polygamy, but there's a moment there where you could talk to your teammates while you are questing. And let's just say that the conversation gets comical, where it's for example, like, oh, you left your socks at my place, and you're like, wait, why did you leave socks at her place? What were you doing? And that's it.
It
So
gets
there
awkward.
are hints of that kind of tension.
It
Even
gets awkward.
it doesn't affect your battle system, but you can tell in terms of the story, there's something going on there. In P4G, of course, they resolve that with how they loved you. How could you do that to them?
Ouch.
Yes.
So yes, Persona 4. If you if you basically try to date everyone at the same time, the game will make sure to make you feel like the worst person ever.
Yeah.
And remember, guys, it's a small town.
Yes.
It's not a city. It's a small town.
I've had experience living in a small town. Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah, pretty much. So there are no secrets there. Yes.
All right, so that's it for Persona 4. The as Pam would call it, the optimistic love child,
The happy
flower child. Okay, there you go, of the series. Because yeah, even the overall design is just really bright and lighthearted.
You never see it coming. You say that my mind is too fast for eyes. You're done, but the time it hit you, you're not surprised.
You're still here on Bonus Stage Plus, and you didn't see this coming, but we are actually going to discuss the latest entry in the series, and yeah, it came out last April 4th, 2017. It's Persona 5, and to take the lead on this one, hello, Pam.
Hi, Persona 5 is interesting because I'm not going to spoil any of you, I promise. It's a game that is super timely for us. It is basically 2016 to 2017, the video game. You play a protagonist who, for terrible circumstances, has been forced to move into Tokyo. And he discovers that there is something called the metaverse, and people are having mental shutdowns. He finds out that he has the power to traverse those and change the hearts of terrible people. So that's how he becomes the leader of the Phantom Thieves. He goes around trying to save society in his own way by taking their hearts.
So, I guess for a much wider audience, we can say that this is a bit like Inception.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's imagine a world of pure cognition where all of your thoughts, everything that you are, it's all in that world. And now you're playing somebody who can traverse that world to see who people really, really are, concretized in what they call a palace. So,
Nice. Those are what the dungeons in Persona 5 are called,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's it.
Full disclosure, I've yet to pick up the game because I've been busy with the rest of my backlog. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, as I said, this game is really, really timely. Everything about it really makes you feel like you are somebody who should not exist in society because you're useless. You're not doing enough for everyone. But you're out to change the world. Everybody has that fantasy. What if I had the power to change people that leave us, that abuse us, that leave us helpless? But you can be the one to assure everyone that things will be better because you're going to make them confess to their crimes. You're going to put all of their secrets out in society. And that's you. You're the hero. By being a thief, you're going to save society.
So you control basically a group called the Phantom Thieves this time, right?
Mhm, yeah.
And let's talk about a bit about the characters without spoiling too much. How do you find them?
I find them, the designs are great. I have the biggest crush on the protagonist. He's really hot. Like,
Joker's hot.
Joker's really hot. Super hot.
Joker is the weapon salesman, right? Is he?
No, he's the main character.
Okay,
He's the main
that's his. Okay, that's his,
Yeah.
That's his call sign.
I'm getting things mixed up. See, this is what I get for not getting the game that early. But I will. I promise.
You
this,
should.
all right?
You really should.
And there's actually a record now because I'm saying this on air.
The other thing with the characters is each one of them is a misfit. Even your social links this time. The running theme is, again, everybody around you views you as someone useless. You're someone who does not fit in. You're someone who can't possibly do anything. What's worse is that the game also makes you feel that the people in the city are only out for entertainment. That's why the Phantom Thieves end up becoming super popular, because they end up having a fan site later on in the game. And people rate them for what they do for society. So imagine like the standard citizen going like, okay, maybe the Phantom Thieves can change the heart of my ex-boyfriend. They get requests like that. So how do you balance that? What do you change? What do you not? is it really your place to do stuff like that?
It's actually amping up a lot of the different side quests, right? Because before you will get side quests through other characters, especially in P4, and now they did that with side.
Actually, it's a great on a design level. It's the 20th anniversary game, so they really perfected everything, their daily life mechanics, their side quest mechanics.
It's another game that took nearly a decade to develop, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so. It's a great product, honestly. For
2016, 2017 is a great year for games that have been in development hell.
That's true. Yeah, that's so true.
They're just under so much secrecy, like little by little, and to the point that I heard from someone that when they were asked at a press con about it, they just like completely shut down the question and moved on to other stuff.
And I think that benefited them because we literally did not see anything coming, so everything was a pleasant surprise. Everything was great. So
I think people were expecting, this is Persona, it's going to be baseline, just really solid, but they didn't expect it to be this good.
It hits you in ways that I cannot begin to describe. Like I said, 2016 to 2017, the game. It's also a huge philosophical shift from 4, because 4 is very optimistic because it's all about finding your true self. 5 is about dealing with impossible societal odds while still trying to be the better person and save everybody. But what if they don't care about you? What are you going to do then? So that's 5.
That is a lot to unpack. But anyway, if that doesn't get you interested in Persona 5, I don't know what will.
Yeah.
And speaking of selling people on the Persona series, our very own Renzo asks, how do you sell this series to someone who hasn't played it before?
Well, basically, if you want to have a dating sim while having slick anime graphics, great music, and dungeon crawling, get Persona. I can't think of a better endorsement than that.
I guess it helps if you're like I usually say it. If you like anime about high schools and they have this, do Persona, play Persona, and it's very intelligent. That's all what I would like to say. Though it's not what you expect out of something that looks like that,
and it's not pretentious. It's very smart because it's smart, but it is what it is.
It's not heavy-handed smart. Also, yes,
it knows the intelligence of its audience, basically.
Yes,
yeah.
And a lot of games kind of don't these days. So
All right, and one last question: what's a good starting point? 3, 4, 5? I guess we can sort of skip over 1 and 2 because let's focus on the more modern ones.
I'm biased with saying 3 because that was my gateway into Persona.
Yeah.
How about you?
The thing is, if you really want to be able to appreciate all the layers, definitely play 3, 4, and 5. They are totally different animals. It's like a Final Fantasy. You're gonna miss out one way or the other. And you can play the game separately anyway. So
I can actually say like start with a 3 or a 4, depending on how you feel.
Yeah.
And then later on, we can probably touch upon the spin-offs just so lightly, all right? Because especially Persona 4, it had a ton of spin-off games, and we'll get to those in a minute. We're somehow surprisingly still in bonus stage plus, but here's the thing. This is more or less an appendix of the main segment because we're going to just touch upon the various spin-offs of the Persona series. And let's start off, I guess, with the Persona 4 Arena because this was the first actual spin-off that we got. It's a fighting game, a 2D fighting game, and you know that I'm going to talk about this because it's a fighting game. All right. So it's made by the same people who've done Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear. That's Arc Systems Works. And as far as I can remember, yes, the story picks up directly after the events of Persona 4. All right. And it somehow manages to bring in a couple new story elements. And okay, it's a bit light on the story compared to, let's say, an 80-hour RPG. But the thing is, and one thing I really like about it, is they brought in gameplay elements from the main RPG series, like status effects, elemental effects, and all that jazz into the main game, while still being, of course, a really solid 2D fighting game. Albeit, I guess, a little more simplified because you don't have that many attack buttons. You only have A, B, and 2 Persona attack buttons, and that's pretty much it. But still, it is gorgeous, and I think if you are not that much of a fighting game fan, but just want to be a bit of a completionist and just play all the related stuff to Persona 4, yes, you can try out Arena. There's a simple operation mode there, so you can just jump right in. You don't even have to learn all the complex combos and stuff. It would be cool if you did, because it's still a very rewarding fighting game. And yeah, there are two of them. There's Persona 4 Arena and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, which also follows up on the events of Arena and then introduces even more characters. And by the way, I guess the other cool thing about Persona 4 Arena is that it brings in characters from Persona 3 who have actually grown up and matured.
Yeah.
You have okay, let's bring in Mitsuru, who looks really gorgeous in that game.
Yeah, she's hot.
Also,
I'm just gonna keep saying that she's hot.
also wields a rapier. I mean, go look up Mitsuru from Persona 3, and also look for her Persona 4 Arena version. It's really good, especially with that game's art style. I mean, this is Arc System Works that we're talking about. They make really, really good fighting game sprites. And moving along, Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Mia.
Yes, so don't get turned off by the idea, but based on, let's treat it like a side story. As an aside, Persona 4, remember that we're talking tropes because we say that it's kind of like the better, smarter dating sim. So in Persona 4, we meet Rise, and she's a pop star. Of course, the typical pop star wants to get out of limelight, decides to settle in this little town. The little town of Inaba. And then in Persona 4 Dancing All Night, she's making a comeback with her friends that we meet in Persona 4 Golden. And of course, they also meet the next generation pop group that's named after Meat, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to remember the Japanese name at the moment, but basically, yes. So, the shadows want to take over the world, so they have to dance with all their heart and spirit.
It is basically a rhythm game for PlayStation Vita.
Yes, and it has the thing with Persona where it's all about teamwork, where it's all about it's all about teamwork and love and
Friendship.
Or to the just dance to the beat of your soul.
That's the best.
That's
way
pretty
to-
much it. In fair, I know, please. It's really cute.
Yes, and okay, if you're probably online right now, look for the intro to that game. It is fantastic.
It is. It's some really, really nice. Okay, a big part of Persona is the music. Fantastic music. Absolutely fantastic. It's that, and they bring it here in Persona 4. I think that's why they made it. They developed it, so they can have an excuse to have the music and the remix version, because we're talking about techno pop beats. Right
a lot of
here.
jazz too.
Quite a bit. Actually, there's a little bit of sauce of that because, jazz was on the influencers of DJ Lotus Leaf, if I'm not,
And
I'll look him
Shoji
up.
Meguro.
Yeah.
And Shoji Meguro to. What's that? He actually, not Shoji Meguro, but the one who did P3 particularly, he has Spotify, where you can sing, where you can also hear some of the female vocalist tracks on it, and it's more jazzy stuff.
So there.
Yeah.
Persona Q. Has anyone played that?
I haven't played it yet.
It's basically a dungeon crawler, and this time brings together the entire casts, if I'm not mistaken, of Persona 4 and Persona 3, and then just puts them in this really cute, chibi art style.
Yeah, it looks adorable. I just haven't been able to touch it yet.
There's just so much to it, I think. And also it eats up your time, as in, mind you, I'm a busy graduate student / teacher / writer. And I also have this side too that I barely am able to take care of nowadays. And I end up finishing Dancing All Night.
And you're already juggling 2 dungeon crawlers as we speak, because I think at one point you might have mentioned that you play Persona 4 when you can't play Persona 5.
Pretty much, yeah. Persona 5, because, usually I have to bum off somebody, a very good friend, my boyfriend's new PlayStation to play Persona 5. So I'm catching up on Persona 4G, where I can no longer get the best ending, because I missed a crucial point in that game, so I have to replay it.
But
Yeah, but
Anyway.
I mean, I already played Persona 4, so...
But at least the good thing about Persona 4 is that you can play it on the go now, thanks to Golden.
Yes.
That's on PlayStation Vita, by the way. So it's a 3 years old at this point, so you can probably get it dirt cheap.
Yeah.
I like using that term, dirt
Yeah.
cheap, because let's admit it, gaming is not a cheap hobby.
No.
Yeah.
And as much as possible, I want to help people by finding the best deals that they can, or just free games. Eventually, at one point, it was offered as a PlayStation Plus game.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
I'm pretty sure I got Dancing All Night on a sale.
So there you have it.
P4G.
The
Yes.
older Persona games, in a nutshell, are just basically, you can find them easily, either online or I guess in your bargain bin, and they are pretty cheap by now. Alright, so if you want to catch up on the older entries before diving right into 5. And with that, where can we find your work online?
Oh, so we, Pam and I, we are part of girlsgotgame.org. We are a video game site that is curated for the female audience. We want to give girl gamers the press they deserve. We are not just healers, pretty much, yes.
Yeah, it's also branching out to general geek stuff. We are extremely supportive of the LGBTQ community, so if you ever have any feelings, Girls Got Game is where to go.
Yes.
I'm also an administrator at whatsageek.com, so if you want to check us out, we are run by our salt and our feelings, so we're great with reviews. We're also great with honest opinions. That's how we're known for.
Shout out to What's a Geek, by the way, because I've had 2 of your contributors on the show.
Yes.
We talked about the nature of spoilers. Not spoilers themselves, but the nature of spoilers in the internet age. So, of course, with that, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about the Persona series. Of course, we had to extend it a bit because this is such a wide-spanning series. It's, what, 20 years old at this point?
20 years old, yeah.
And
Yeah.
5 games, all of which are like 80-hour RPGs.
Yeah, roughly.
And a bunch of spin-offs. I mean, you can also spend like 80-plus hours just playing Persona 4 Arena if you want to perfect your playstyle. But that's a completely different story. Of course, tune in once again next Thursday for the next thing that we'll be talking about here on Bonus Stage Plus. While we give you something from Lord, this is Green Light.